Hello everyone. I think it's live now. Welcome to yet another live stream. I'm sorry that I had to cancel this English version 14 days ago. Things were just completely madness at work and also a bit hectic at home with my with my now 9 months old daughter Liv. I'm sorry about that, but I hope that you joined this one. And today we're gonna do two of my all-time favorite flies. One of them is a Sandeel imitation that you can probably use for a lot of stuff. Not only in Denmark for sea trout and cod and haddock and stuff like that, but also I think this pattern, if you perhaps tied it in a bit bigger size, it would be really good for bass. As always, I'm very curious to see where people are from. So please leave a comment. Evening, Rob. So please leave a comment stating where you're from, and we'll just give it a few more minutes. That it's not 8 o'clock yet, but we're getting there. So I haven't unfortunately been doing much fishing since last time because well, the weather here in Denmark is so that we have snow just now, um, and uh, and with this Corona thing, it's just yeah, things. When you have a web shop selling stuff that people can do at home, then the Corona tends to speed up your business a bit. So we've had quite a lot of things to do around the shop. I'm just gonna thread my bobbin here, which is of course a good thing, but it means that it means that I don't have had that much time to actually go fishing. As always, I would like to hear if the audible, if the audio and the image is good. So I'm just gonna swap back to the other fly here. It's not exactly this fly we're gonna tie. We're gonna actually tie something that is lacking in my box. So after tonight, I'm gonna have at least one of these for when I can go sea trout fishing next. This is also this is a Thunder Creek variation of the Sandeel pattern. So I thought it would be a pretty okay placeholder for setting up the camera and stuff. Hi, Henrik. So yeah, well, basically, the time is now around the time where we should probably get started. It's 8 o'clock, and let's just see how it progresses. As I said, we're gonna tie a Sandeel first, and then I'm gonna tie afterwards a Nymph. And this Nymph is called Flashback Nymph. It's a pattern that I first used when I went to New Zealand, which regretfully is quite a lot of years ago. But I've been using this pattern a lot since then as well. But in New Zealand, it just slayed. I think on the fish I caught there on Nymph, maybe about 80% or something like that was on this Nymph pattern. So it really was a great pattern. Also, the Sandeel today is gonna be a flatwing Sandeel, or it's gonna be mainly composed of some big saddle feathers, or some slim saddle feathers is probably more accurate. Because that is, in my opinion, the best way to make a really lively Sandeel pattern, and it really is awesome. So we're gonna do a lot of stuff with this Sandeel. I'm gonna use some chartreuse. If you look at a Sandeel, it's probably more olive in color, but the chartreuse here is fluorescent, and chartreuse is just awesome for. Hello, Leah from Patagonia as well. Thank you, Magnus. I didn't actually see the match between Egypt and Denmark, but I heard that I missed out. So yeah, yeah. But you can see them all. So as I said, this Sandeel pattern is a great imitation of a baitfish, and you can probably tie this in a lot of different variations. I see we have a lot of Danish people here tonight as well. So yeah, but And basically, I'm gonna swap to the fly now. I have here. I didn't know if could you please tell me if the visual is okay, is sharp, and if the audio is fine as well. Because otherwise I'll have to adjust some of these settings. But I think I can manage that. I have a pretty decent program for managing all of that, so it's fairly easy to do that midstream. Yeah, I like the sound of that. So basically, here I have a hook, which is a quite crucial part of any fly tying. I'm gonna use this one. This is the Chemco, and this hook is the 784, which I think is a really awesome hook from Chemco. It's fairly short shanked. It has a fairly wide hook gape. And it just has a deadly point here. That's one of the things that I really like about Chemco, is they do not mess around with their points on their hooks. So they're sturdy, they're strong, they're made in Japan, they're absolutely excellent, and for this pattern, this is a really good hook. So the thing about this pattern is it's going to be a bit different from maybe some other Sandeel patterns that you might have encountered, because what we want to do here is we want to have the flat wing all the way in the back of the fly here, because then it will tangle less often. That can be one of the things with flat wings is that they sometimes have a tendency to tangle quite a lot. So if we put the hackles and stuff here all the way back here, then it's not gonna kink. It's not gonna tangle as much. The first thing we need for this is, of course, some saddle feathers. And for this, I have some whiting dry fly saddles, because these have these long, very nice, very long, very thin feathers. And for smaller sandies like this, these are perfect. And you can easily get more than one wing with one feather. So these are awesome. I have a kirk as well, because whiting don't make a chartreuse one. So I have a kirk in chartreuse, and these are these are the two that we're gonna use today, because the chartreuse just is, yeah, basically, as I said, an awesome color. So the first thing we want to do, thank you for letting me know about the visual and stuff. The first thing we want to do is we want to tie two of these in white, so they are kind of on the side of the hook here. That one was not completely properly placed, so I'm tying these. This is the first one. I'm tying this, and of course you can experiment with the length of your Sandeel. This is gonna be not a big Sandeel, because I find that these smaller ones work really well, and they're also easier to cast. So I'm gonna take one, and I'm gonna tie one on the side that is facing you, and then I'm gonna tie another one that is a bit different in length. So you don't want these to be completely uniform in length, because then they will move individually in the water. I'm going to tie the other white one on the other side. So now I have two of these. Just going to secure them. Cut away this part here. There we go. And then I'm going to add a single one in the chartreuse color. And one of the really important things about tying Sandeels and basically a lot of different patterns is that you do not overdo it. You do not use too much material, because if you use too much material, it will basically not look like a fish out in the water. Hello, Captain Joe from USA. That sounded almost as awesome as I thought it would. I'm going to take the chartreuse one, and I'm going to make that slightly longer than the other ones. And I'm going to tie this on top of the hook, so it's the upper side of the feather here is pointing down, because then the curve here will make it move a lot more in the water. There we go. So basically, the tail is going to be composed of these three feathers, and they will have a really nice movement in the water. if I can afford another camera, I'm gonna have another camera, and then oh, we forgot something. I almost forgot. We don't want this to go warm. So if you have a beer out there, now it's time to pop the lid on one like that. This is basically the one beer I have a week. So if you've been following this stream, I bought a 6-pack of these. Not old. I like these Christmas brews. But I've had that 6-pack for some live streams now. I think this is the 4th one. So I'm gonna have one or two more of these in the upcoming live streams. So there we go. Back to tying. So as you can see now, I have the 3 hackles here. And of course, I would like to have a bit of bling in there. So I'm going to use some Ascent Flash, some Hedron Ascent Flash, and this is the color Mirror Opal. So this is a really, really shiny flash. So I'm just going to have maybe 2 strands of this. You can, of course, vary this as well, as much as you like. Oh, and if you have any comments regarding this stream or regarding what I'm tying, you can just post them in the commentary, and I will try as best I can to answer any questions you have. Mainly regarding fly tying or fly fishing. I don't think I can solve any personal issues that you might have. You probably need to talk to someone else besides me, but anything related to fly fishing, I'm up for the challenge. Just ask away, and I'll try to clarify or to explain to the best of my abilities. So there we go. Just 2 small strands of flash, and these are also gonna look like the sideline on this one. Gonna cut away the rest of this. We don't need that. And now I'm gonna use some. Oh, that's really, really shiny. It's directly in the lamp, so that's probably a bit difficult to see. And what I have here is a dubbing dispenser. I've made my own. I bought an empty dubbing dispenser, and I just added all my dubbing, or some of. I have quite a few of these, but a really, really neat way of doing it. And I've just loaded this one, so it's it's almost bursting at the seams. If I pop this open, it would be mayhem. So I'm just gonna find the right dubbing here. The Flashaboo dubbing in pearl is a good dubbing, or ice dubbing for that matter. I'm just gonna take a little dubbing at a time here, because one of the important things is not to make this this body here too dense and too thick, because again, we want this to be fairly minimalistic in its appearance, because again, these small baitfish, they are from nature, they are designed not to be too easy to spot for the predators. So if you want this to be lifelike, then you want to add some bling, as I'm doing here with the dubbing, but you do not want to add too much, and you do not want this body to be too overwhelming, because if it is too overwhelming, it's gonna look clumsy and not at all like anything out from nature. So the trick really with this, as with any fly, is to make this interesting enough that the trout will see it as food, but on the other hand, to still keep it so that trout will see it as food. Make it stand out, but not stand out so much that the trout or the sea bass or whatever you're. Oh, sorry about that. I have to change camera. What I just did was make the body here, and as you can see, this was very, very relatively thin, and I just did that by taking a small amount of dubbing and then just making a small. I don't know if sausage is the right word, but a small. I don't know if fundled is the right word, but I just meshed it on the thread here and then just winded it. And as you can see, I have done this all the way up to the hook. So there we go. It said something about it wasn't aligned properly. I don't know. There is some. Yeah, I don't think it's there, but yeah. It's just on my screen. As you can see, I've tied all the way up to the eye with this, and this is because now I need a small amount of bucktail, and if there was a gap here, then my bucktail would lean into the dubbing and then stick straight out into the air, and I want this bucktail here to be flat on top of the body here. So I have dubbing all the way up to the end of the fly. Now I'm gonna take a little bucktail, small. I had a better white one, I think. This will do. A small bundle of bucktail, and again, here it's important. Yeah, hello everyone. Again, it's important that you do not have too much material. So I'm gonna remove some of the really long ones, and I'm gonna remove all the short ones. Then I'm gonna turn the fly here upside down. Gonna take some bucktail, and then tie this underneath only to have the belly of the fly here. And I do not want this bucktail to be as long as the actual fly. Try to distribute so it's evenly distributed, and not only underneath but also on the side here. There we go. Now here for this part it's important to have a really nice sharp scissor, so it's possible to cut the bucktail as close as possible. There we go. And now I'm gonna do the same, but on the top of the hook here with some chartreuse bucktail. How many of you out there fish with the sandeel every now and then? Because sandeels can really be the type of fly that can make and break the day. I've had a lot of times where actually I have seen sea trout and big sea trout chase the sandeels on the Danish coast, kind of like you would you see in all the movies with tuna and stuff like that. But I've seen schools of sea trout chase down the sandeels and almost beach themselves on the while chasing these. And very often when you're wading, you will see schools of really tiny sandeels, and these are a really big part of the food of the sea trout. So it's important to have a good sandeel imitation in your box. There we go. That was the next part. Again, I made sure that my thread here was really tight before I'm gonna cut away any of this. And again, a very sharp pair of scissors is gonna make this a lot easier. Now, this fly is again one of those types of flies that fish really well if you fish it fast. So what I do when I fish this is I use a lot of speed. Normally I have the rod underneath my right arm, and then I make a double-handed retrieve, because these are really fast bait fish, and they have a tendency as well to once they're being chased, then they will dive. If there is sand, they will dive and they will burrow themselves into the sand. So a fly like this is best fished if you fish it really fast, and then every now and then you stop stripping, and that will make the fly dive. And as soon as the fly dives towards the bottom, then the sea trout would grab it, because otherwise they will know that it will escape into the sand. That's probably why they are dubbed sandeels, I think. So, Now we are ready for the final stage of this this sandeel here, and we're gonna add a head of UV glue. And I've been using this Deer Creek for some time now, and it's really good. I've been using a lot of different stuff. If you have the Loon, that's fine as well. I think or the Raid Sap is a nice brand as well. There's a lot of nice UV glue out there. It's kind of like at one time there was only one, and then all of a sudden there were kind of like a million brands. But yeah, this Deer Creek works really well. A lot of the things are depending on your light. So if you have a good UV torch, then you're pretty good to go. So, and the trick with this is to really apply this very small amounts of glue at a time. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a really tiny amount of glue here on the side. Just a tiny drop there. And then I'm going to add the eye. And for this I'm going to use a very fluorescent yellow eye as well. So I'm going to have that there. Need a dubbing needle. I'm going to tightly clamp down on my bucktail here. Force it back into where I want it, and then I'm gonna apply the light here. Oh shit! I need to swap cameras. I'm sorry about that. So what I did, I turned this. I'm gonna show you on the other side. I turned this so it was facing, you know, horizontally, and then I placed the first eye. Then I'm gonna do the same on the other side here, horizontally. Hold all my materials backwards, then add a small, I think this bottle is about to be empty. There's gonna add a really tiny amount of UV glue. Take my eye. That was 4 or 5 eyes, but you know, such is life. And now it's important to look if they are aligned, and this is quite good. So now I can shine the light on there. And now I have both my eyes attached perfectly, and basically I'm just gonna continue building the head here. Just a small amount of glue at a time. Because you can easily overdo this by using too much glue, and then you'll get a really bulky head. And once we are at this stage where we've taken so great care not to make this fly too bulky, too big. Yeah, this looks really good. This is gonna be a good one. This one goes roly-poly retrieve. Is that what it's called, Magnus Persson? Roly-poly retrieve? Yes, sorry, Ara. Sorry about that with the camera. I just got caught up in fly tying, you know. I'm just gonna have a bit more glue here, not a lot, but a bit more. Just to cover the eye here. And the trick with this UV glue is to really know when to stop. To have this small, nice looking eye, no, head, and stop when you are ahead. There we go. This is, and as you can, I don't know if you can see that on the, but this really is fluorescent as hell. This this chartreuse bucktail, and also the chartreuse feather is really fluorescent. So it's really good for the Danish sea trout at least. And basically, you see, I used the glue to have the have the bucktail stay in place. Have a bit of bucktail, the white bucktail underneath, and then the tail here. And what we end up with is a really transparent, very easy to cast fly that just swims great. It cuts very easy, as I said, through the wind, and it's not too dense. It just looks a lot like food, and still you have the flesh in the body. You have the two strands of flesh to attract the fish, and once the fish see the fly, it will definitely go for it, because it just looks so much like the real thing. If you want to spice this up a bit, and that's something I wanted to try out, you could add some of these lips to it, or even a magic head. But some of these you could add one of these in front to give it a more erratic movement. These are magic lips. But for this, I just wanted to have a clean one to show you today. So I didn't want to go there, but that's a good thing. But if you add one of these magic lips, you need to incorporate a bit more. Hello, Sigurdur. If you want to add one of these, then add a bit more weight to the fly, but that will make it really swim well. So basically, as you see, this took about 24 minutes, which is probably a bit longer than it would have if I was just tying up 5 or 6 of these for my box. But another thing why I did not make this longer is, if you make this longer, then you can have fish that actually only grab the tail of this, and that's something you don't want. I don't like to fish with stinger hooks, because I think they really they do not cast well, and they do not cast well, and they make the fly just looks incredibly clumsy out in the water. So I do not like stinger hooks, not even on my pike flies. But on my pike flies, I don't like the stinger hooks, because the stinger hooks on the pike flies will often get tangled into the gills of the fish. So as a general rule, I do not like the this is really neat, actually. I do not like the stinger hooks, but for a fly like this, if you fish it as it should be, fast, with a fast retrieve, then the fish will really slam it. And once they touch the chimka hook here, they will be they will be stuck. Yeah, exactly, Magnus. Extremely hard takes. They just pound this and pound this and pound this. So it's also really fun to fish. And if you fish, for instance, on a floating line or something like that, you will often see the trout chasing it in the waves, or the bass, I presume, or because this could easily be used, I think, in Mexico, maybe in some different colors, but for bonito or dorado or something like that. But you will see the fish chase this, and when you see the fish chase these, you of course have to make these small short stops, as I said, but then continue stripping, because a lot of the time, what you see if you slow down is that the fish gets uninterested. You cannot retrieve a fly like this with your hands faster than a trout can swim, and trout feed on live things. So trouts are hunters, and they will hunt, and they like to hunt. So if you see fish follow, do not slow down. If possible, speed even more up and make these small stops. That will definitely make the. Yeah, you could probably use it for walleye as well. Um, just speed up, because the fish will see it as something that flees, and something that flees is food. And if it flees, they will try to kill it, if they're in the mood, of course. I mean, you can always find fish that are just impassive and do not react to anything, but fish this as fast as you can. And if you see fish chasing this, then fish it even faster. Okay. So, the small sand eel. I'm just gonna show you one thing here. 1 second. 1 second. No, that is gone for some reason. Okay, 1 second. I'm just gonna show you in the web shop where you can actually buy the materials for this. In the web shop, I have some smaller package of these feathers, so you do not have to buy a complete saddle, because these saddles unfortunately are there we go. These saddles unfortunately are, I'm gonna have to change camera again. I think these saddles unfortunately are a bit expensive because the demand is so high. I guess that that whenever, and also whenever we get some, they sell out quite quickly. But in that link I've just sent you, there is a complete material list, but also the complete list you need of these materials, but also some small packages of these Kiak saddle feathers. Hello, Stephen McInnes from Texas. Yeah, probably will work for largemouth as well. I mean, this is definitely a good pattern for perch as well. And of course, as I said, you can spice up the colors any way you like to imitate or to look like any of the bait fish that is around where you live. Hello, Eric. You're more than welcome, Eric. I think you're gonna have to hurry if you're gonna meet me up here and have one of mine before this ends. But I don't know how fast you drive though. So give it a try. I have, as I said, 2 more in the freezer in the fridge, and you're more than welcome to one of them. Okay, so I'm just gonna change the setup here to see for the second fly. The second fly, as I said, is going to be a small nymph, which of course is intended for brown trout and rainbows and all types of trout that lives in streams. But it's also a really good fly for. In Denmark, we have this strange way that some lakes are owned by private owners, and then they basically just take a lot of stocked rainbow trouts and they release them, and then you can come and fish for a few hours and see how many stocked rainbow trouts you can catch. We call it put and take. So you add the fish, you put in the fish, and then someone else comes and take the fish out. And this will be great for that as well. But as I said, this really was a killer fly in New Zealand. And what I found is it's not necessarily the amount of different. Oh, good evening, Bear Pa. It's not the amount of different patterns that you have in your box that's important. When you fish for trout, for instance, in New Zealand, what really counted was to have not many different patterns, but to have a lot of different sizes and with some different weights. So I had this pattern in size, I think from size 6 to size 16, and then I had it unweighted. Then I had it with just a brass bead, and then also with the hook I'm going to use here is a Chemco 2457, one of the best grubs and live Caddy's lava hooks ever, because it's a bit heavier than normal, but it has a barb. So I just removed the barb here. Then I added a small copper bead. As I said, it's not the actual sizes, but to have more different weights. So I had one unweighted, one with a brass bead, and then I had some with tungsten, so I could fish in different places in the water column, and that really was phenomenal, because whenever we spotted a brown trout or fished for brown trout, we always had something that either could get really far down deep, or something that could, basically, if the trout were feeding near the surface but not taking something on the surface, then that was good as well. This fly is an imitation of one of the caddis nymphs, one of the free moving caddis nymphs. So it's not a peeping caddis. The peeping caddis, everyone knows, the caddis nymphs that build the houses. This is basically some of the other species of caddis that are roaming about underneath the stones, and this is an imitation of that. But it has added something to it has added a bit of flash to give it some more bling and some more different things like that. But it's a really, really good pattern. If I could only have one nymph in my box, then it would be this one, because this one is really, really awesome. So I added a small brass bead, because most of the fishing I do now, I don't need the tungsten. And then basically I just wind the thread all the way down here. Maybe I should have taken an olive thread, but this white one, it will do for now. Do I have an olive thread close by? No, I have this box here. If you haven't checked this out, then definitely do. This is really, really an awesome product. You can see all the threads, all the different sizes. I have 3 or 4 of these now. But the other, I'm sort of organizing my fly tying, so these are in another place. So I'm just going to continue here with the white thread. And as you can see, hello Athens, Greece as well. As you can see, I'm moving my thread fairly long down into the hook gape here. So right about after about there, where the hook barb was, I'm gonna stop. And the first thing we need is a bit of flashaboo, because this is called flashback because it has some flash all the way across the back of it. So I'm gonna take maybe 5 strands or so of this, 6 maybe even. Ooh. And then I'm gonna put these around the thread like this, because then I can control completely where this will be tied down. There we go. And I'm gonna tie it so it's on top of the hook here. I'm gonna cut off all of these that's pointing forward, because all we need are these. So I'm gonna fold this as the back of the fly, and then I'm gonna leave one to be the rib. There we go. Then I need some dubbing, and for this one, some variation of olive is the preferred way to go. So here is another of these dubbing dispensers, and I'm gonna take, depending on exactly what you think are where you're gonna fish and stuff like that. You can of course change the colors a bit, but this is also one I just loaded, so I have to pull out the first dubbing here. But I'm gonna take a small amount of dubbing here. This is SLF Squirrel dubbing, one of my all-time favorite dubbings for well, basically anything that kind of looks like something that is alive and crawling. And again, for this, I'm not gonna use a dubbing loop, because I want the back of this, or it's not the tail, but well, basically it probably is the tail, but for the first part of this fly, I want the dubbing to be fairly tightly woven, tightly wound, not to be too shaggy looking. I'm gonna add a bit more, and as you can see, this tapers. Oh, I think actually the colors here are, it's a bit dark, so I'm just gonna turn on a bit more light. I hope that makes it better. Was that better with a bit more light? I think it was. I think this was better. Hello to New York as well. Could you please just tell me if this light here made everything stand out a bit more? Because now there is really a lot of light in my face. So if it doesn't change anything, then I would like to turn it back off. I mean. Then slowly I wind the dubbing here, and it's important that it gradually becomes more and more thick, the body. So it starts off being fairly thin, and then gradually as you move forward here, you add more and more dubbing, so it becomes thicker and thicker. It tapers all the way up here. And it's okay if it starts to get a bit shaggy now. That's okay, but it's just important in the beginning that it's relatively firm and not too shaggy. There we go. Another thing when you're tying nymphs is that a lot of the time you do not leave enough space up here to actually have the thorax and the front part of the fly to make that perfect. So leave a bit more space than what you would think. That pays off in the end. Then I'm gonna take the orange or copper flashaboo here and just pull it all the way up across the back of the fly, like so. Tie this firmly down, and I left one strand, and this strand is going to be the rib of my fly here. Both this is holographic orange, and it really gives off a nice look to the fly here. The size I'm tying here is a size 6, and that is a good size for these artificial stocked trouts in the lakes I was talking about. But it's also the best size for you to actually see. The size I used most in New Zealand and in Norway and Sweden and stuff like that is the size, maybe the size 10 to 14, something like that. But that small of a hook would be difficult for me to show you exactly what I'm doing. So I'm tying on the size 6, even though it maybe is a bit big. Thanks for letting me know about the colors. So you can see I have the rib here. I have the flashback on this. And now I'm ready for the final part. This is not a fly that takes too much time. And it's fairly inexpensive. It's fairly cheap to make. You probably have all the materials needed. As I said, the exact color of this is not that important. As long as it's some shade of olive, then you're good to go. And as long as the front part of this is some sort of darkish, grayish, brownish thing, then you're good to go. And if you use copper wire or copper rib, then that's perfect as well. So I mean, this fly is just one of the really, as I see it, one of the major workhorses of any fly box. As I said, if I only had to pick one nymph for my nymph box, then this would be the one. It's completely deadly, both upstream and also downstream, and both dead drift. And you can even fish this, like you just cast it and swing it. It works great like that as well. It's just a really good pattern. So for this next part, originally I use partridge, but another thing you can use for this is also, because complete partridge skins like this are very hard to come by. So I've found something that really works well and is less expensive, and these are the whiting Brahma, both saddles and capes. These are absolutely amazing value for money for both small nymphs and dry flies. No, not dry flies, small nymphs and wet flies and stuff like that. Then the whiting Brahma is a killer product, especially for the price range. So what do you think? Should I use the Brahma or should I use the partridge for this one? Let me see out in the commentary. You'll decide. Should I use the Brahma or should I use the whiting, the partridge here? I have both. I know I'm a lucky man. No, there is a delay on here, so it's yeah. I have to tread a bit of water now until some people actually write something in the commentary. Let's see if anyone bothers to do so. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Uh, no, nothing much happens, so maybe I should just decide on my own. As I said, I really like the Brahmas. They are available in a lot of really really awesome colors, and you can use them for basically anything that you use the partridge for. Yeah, exactly. I completely agree, Eric. I completely agree. They're really awesome. They're really awesome. So we're gonna go with the Brahma. Eric, you decided. We're gonna go with the Brahma. Then I'll have more partridge for another day. You really like your whiting, don't you? Well, who doesn't? I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't love whiting? Too bad they're just, yeah, they can't deliver as much as I would like to, but yeah, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, everyone is struggling in the industry with the corona, and a lot of stuff that is normally very easy to get a hold of is just so hard to come by. We see a lot of big companies who are sold out. It's Sage are struggling, Nautilus is struggling. And a lot of the fly tying stuff as well is hard to come by. We've run out of a lot of things that normally would be in stock always. But yeah, production is difficult many places. So basically, when you use this, you want to prepare the feather. I've taken one of the smaller ones, and the way I prepare a feather like this is, I peel off all the fluffy part here because we don't need that. That's not going to look good on our fly. And then I very carefully hold it in the tip of the feather, and then fold back as much as I can without peeling them off. So I get a hackle that looks quite difficult, quite strange here. And what you want to do is, on a hackle like this, it has a natural curve, and you want these feathers to fold back on the fly. And the way you get you use that natural curve is if you have the feathers, then there is a top side, and the top side is this side that is pointing upwards on your cape or on your saddle or whatever, the most brightly looking one of those. And you tie this so it's pointing away from your other material. So if it's pointing towards you, then that's good. If it's pointing upwards, then that's perfect as well. There we go. So now I have my hackle. As you can see, as soon as I start turning this, all the feathers are gonna fold back, guided by the natural curve of the feather here. And you can help it along by actually, as you turn, you continue to fold it back here with your fingers. So the reason why we make a hackle here is we want to have this to be a woolly buggy looking thingy. Not a woolly bugger, but it has to be woolly, and it has to have something that is gonna look a bit like legs pointing out from in every which direction. There we go. Cut away the hackle stem. And then again, I'm going to fold everything back and tie as close to the hackle as I can. So you'll get this hackle that basically just stands out. There we go. And for this last part, it can, I know it's not a big thing, but you can really do a lot with having a dubbing loop here. And I want to show you this one. This is my new dubbing sword. Well, at least it looks a bit like a sword, I think. But it's the new Swiss CDC multi-loop, and you know, whenever you see something new, you think, yeah, maybe, I don't know about that. It looks strange, and what is it, and stuff like that. And then I saw a tutorial on how to use this online, and this just immediately became something that I just needed to own, because this is just really well thought through. It's beautifully designed. I don't know if it's beautiful, but it has a really good weight and stuff like that, and it's just clever in the way it's designed. So the way you use this is you hold it in your left hand. I'm gonna see if I can show you here. You hold it in your left hand with the logo pointing towards you. Then you take your thread, and then you mount the thread in the topmost of these holes here. Then you take your thread, and it has a curve here, so it's easy to fit your thread in the lower one as well. And this way you have now I'm gonna do a complete tutorial about it, but now you have a very easy accessible dubbing loop that is, maybe it's easier to see here. The dubbing loop is open because of the difference between the two holes, and if you want to close the dubbing loop, you simply just tilt this. So it's a lot easier to manage your dubbing loop. I'm gonna swap cameras back, don't worry. There we go. So I have my dubbing loop here, as you probably can see, because of the difference of the placement of the two holes. It's open. It's very easy for me to now do whatever I want with my right hand while keeping this dubbing loop open. Oh, I need to go a bit back here. For some reason it didn't stay there. There we go. Then I take my dubbing. Yeah, it's really awesome. Of course, it's produced in Switzerland and stuff like that, maybe by some Alpish ferries or something like that. I don't know. It's a bit expensive, but it really is awesome. And I've just been using this one because it's so cool. So now I have placed the dubbing inside the loop. I just turn this down and just catch the dubbing loop with the hook at the top here, and then the balance here is just absolutely wonderful. It's just completely balanced. It works like a charm. Then I spin my dubbing loop. It needs a bit more, I think. Maybe I think I've added too much dubbing there, but it really makes these dubbing loops so much easier. Oh, I used a bit too much force there. There we go. I have too much dubbing here, so I'm gonna pull some of these out, and then we're ready to turn the dubbing here. There we go. Nice and shaggy. Actually, I got a bit too much space. If this should be perfect, then it should have been, the front part of this should have been, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters shorter. And then I cut this off. And another thing about this is, of course, this is all very nice and cool, but these two things up here can be used to actually tie have some wire in your dubbing loop, some hackles, some hurls, and all sorts of stuff. I'm gonna do a complete video that shows exactly how to use this tool. But if you're bored at home and you want something new, a new tool to play around with, then this one, the new Swiss CDC dubbing loop, the dubbing sword, or whatever you want to call it. I like to call it the sword, is just freaking awesome. It's freaking awesome. So the only thing left is to make sure everything is fastened, then making a small whip finish here. And we don't need varnish or glue or anything for this, because the thread is gonna be covered by the bead. But there we go. The Flashback Nymph it's good for this fly is also good for murky waters and stuff like that, because the flash really stands out. It catches. Oh, sorry about that. It catches a lot of light. But even in New Zealand, where I must say the fish can be just freaking insane, when it comes to being spooked and stuff like that. This one just, it was just slaying and slaying and slaying. It was just killing. It was, well, we released all the fish again, of course, except I think 2 fish we ate, but it was just outperforming anything else that we had. So if you haven't any of these in the box, I definitely recommend that you get some. It's really, really a cool pattern. Okay, well, I still have beer left here, and I think we have a bit of time left over. That's the first time I've actually been under the time limit, so I must have chosen 2 flies that was maybe a bit easy for today, but that's okay every now and then as well. I chose these flies first of all because I needed a sandeel for my fly box, but also because it's the best way of tying a small bait fish like that has the profile of a sandeel, and this other, the nymph here, is because I think there's too far between. I tie small trout flies like this one. I really want to do. I have a lot of dry fly videos on the channel, but those are maybe 6 or 7 years old. So a lot have changed with the quality of the camera and the setup I have and stuff like that. So I'm probably gonna redo a lot of them. The nymph is called Flashback, the Flashback nymph. Gabbardim. I'm gonna send you a link to that tool. I highly recommend it. Even though, as I said, it's produced in Switzerland, so it's not the cheapest of tools, but I mean, it's not like it's something that can ever break. So once you have one, you'll have one for a life. Yeah. Yeah. Well, unless you have a lot of things you want to talk about, then I think that's about sums it up for today. I'm really looking forward to the next one in 14 days. Let me just have a look at exactly what that is. I can't recall it, but I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you here a link as well to see all the other ones. I have on the front of page of the YouTube channel here. There is a playlist of all the upcoming live streams. I think there are 3 more to go, and next time it's gonna be a streamer and a dry fly. Then it's gonna be a worm and a scud, and then it's gonna be a pike and a nymph. So the next one is, of course, on the 11th of February, where we're gonna tie a streamer and a dry fly. I'll try to put in some more info regarding exactly the patterns and stuff like that. But I think it's gonna be it's been a long time since I've tied some parachute hackles. So just to brush up on those techniques, I think it's gonna be a parachute hackle, and then it's gonna be some kind of stickleback, I think. Definitely, Mikhail. You need one of those. It's really awesome. It's really awesome. So as I said, yeah, shrimp fly could be cool as well. I'll try to see if I can fit one of those in. Maybe we should skip the streamer next time and do a shrimp instead. I've done two shrimps on the Danish live stream, but But I don't know. I don't know. Shrimps are cool. They taste great as well. Smart mouth. I'll consider the shrimp. I'll consider the shrimp. Well, thank you all very much for watching, and of course, if you haven't done so already, please swing by Nordic Anglers. That's my web shop. We have more than 14,000 different items in stock. We have an insane amount of fly tying. Almost anything you could ever wish for is there online. But we also have a very big selection of all the biggest brands of fly fishing equipment in general. Sage and Loomis and Scott and Waterworks, Nautilus, Scientific Anglers, Rio, Sims. Yeah, basically you name it, and we probably have it. so swing by the web shop, or and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Well, that's me signing off. Thanks for now, and well, good luck out on the water.